Hi everyone, my name is Mackenzie, and today I am presenting the article Seasonal Variation in Adult Leisure Time Physical Activity. The study looked at whether adults are more active during certain seasons of the year. Basically, researchers were wanting to know if adults were more active in the spring and summer compared to the fall and winter. They used adults from Michigan. I believe the studies, it was roughly 2,000. I think I have that in another slide. But it focused on leisure time activities, not necessarily work related activities. And it compared all four seasons. The data from the survey came from Michigan's behavioral risk factor survey. Over 5,000 adults were surveyed, but only 2,843 had completed the exercise information. They were asked about their activities during the day and during the past month and how often that they did them. Um, Weekly energy expenditure calculated using METS, duration, and frequency. And an ANOVA test was used to compare the activity levels across all seasons. The researchers used ANOVA, which is a test that compares the averages of multiple groups. In this case, the groups were the four seasons: summer, winter, spring, and fall. The physical activity goes down a lot in the fall and the winter. They we're speculating that that's because it gets darker earlier, and it is much colder outside, so people are a lot less likely to be doing physical activities in the wintertime, versus when the weather is nicer in the spring and summer and you have longer days that you can spend outside and it does not get as dark early. Most people like doing stuff outside, so when it's cold, they tend to not be as physically active. The results were almost common sense. People were more active in the spring and summer than in the fall and winter, which is kind of what you would conclude. I actually found it a little funny that they actually did a study over this, just because it seems like something that would be common sense or just kind of general knowledge. Um, but winter had the highest percentage of people who did not participate in any physical activity at all. Um, I am one of those who are borderline. I sometimes move in the winter, I sometimes don't, but usually in the summer, I am a very, very active individual. Longer activity happened in the summer compared to winter, and that's again probably because the days are longer, you get more sunlight, and you are able to do those outdoor activities easier. This is my visual table. As you can see, there's four categories broken down into winter, spring, summer, and fall. They have the activities of people. I think that walking was the highest activity that people did. But they have it laid out wonderfully to where you can see the second activities, the first activities, the types, the percentages, and then it's broken down into four categories for us. Some of my reflections on this article, I did think that this study was a little funny. It's just kind of one of those things that I didn't think that people would take the time and, even money to produce a study such as this. I think it's pretty common sense. People do not move as much in the wintertime than they do compared to summer. Just because the weather is so much nicer, you have longer days. Um, I was also in a walking class this semester, so I figured it would help motivate me and kind of plan a little bit better how to navigate a walking class in the wintertime, just because I do primarily walk outdoors. I take my dog for walks, but in the wintertime, those slow down significantly just because it does get so cold and it does hurt my joints. Um, and so it kind of made me think more intentionally about my activities, how I can stay more active year round and just get not necessarily workouts, but just consistent movement. Here is my wrap up. Seasons clearly affect how active people are, especially in the United States. Understanding this can help you plan your routine better. I've included some activities that you can do indoors to still stay active. Some of them don't even cost money. One of my favorite things to do is actually dance in my living room. I have quite a few dance parties a week and just kind of, shake it all out. It's a really easy way to also help manage your stress. I love dancing. Um, you can do it for free inside your living room. Walking inside a gym or a rec center, I do that quite a bit. I have a gym membership, so I'm always on the treadmill about 30 minutes a day trying to get my step count in for my walking class. And also just joining other exercise classes. You can do lots of indoor activities now in 2025, I feel like. And I feel like there's so many exercises that it's much easier to find an exercise that you enjoy and that doesn't feel like a workout in 2025 than maybe it was when this study was done in, I believe, I think it was 1996, 1986. So we have much more resources than we did back then. And I think it allows us to have more opportunities to be active in the wintertime. And so I've included some of those in this.